to debugging this weird problem where a directory that has a trailing space can't be deleted in the web-ide. So I'm running the web-ide example app so that we can make quick changes to the web-ide and see how it affects. I'm running the GDK that I've set up a project which has a folder that actually has a trailing space at the end of its name. So my hypothesis is that there's a sneaky trim somewhere that's messing something up. But let's see what happens. So when I run this and I delete this, okay, I'm not seeing the change show up in source control, so something weird happened. And when I start changing things, you actually see it come back, but now the file is actually gone, and I still don't have the change in source control. Something bad happened. I also got this error in the console, so that's really good, because otherwise I would need to start adding debuggers onto the VS Code file system, which is the file system that receives these file system commands like delete or create. I would want to start adding debuggers there and just following it. But it's really helpful I got this error, because that's going to give me some ideas. And this status is sticking out to me with get deleted files log. So let me look for get deleted files log. Before we do this, I want to show that the GitLab file system provider here in the VS Code extension web-ide package. This is a VS Code file system provider. This is like the entry point for those file system commands of reading them or creating them, and if something funny happens here, this would probably be where I would start. But the fact that we have this error in the console, I don't necessarily need to do that, and we've got some really helpful trace here. So I'm gonna look for what happened here. Okay, inside of status. All right, so this is where we're getting our source control implementation, where we're trying to get our source control status. Here's the magic of how we manage some of this in-memory file system that also keeps track of its changes. And you can read some of this algorithm here, but I'm going to try to very briefly give a high level. But we have our file system. Let me see what creates this. Let me step one step back. Yeah, it's going to be over here. Okay, let me go ahead and keep this here. All right, so here's some context. We have this, and this isn't a great name, but we have this function create systems. And this is creating a handful of systems, creating our file system, our source control system, and then the file system for source control requests, like what was the old contents of the file. So this is called source control FS. Now, the way that we're handling this and keeping track of changes is using a concept called an overlay file system, where all of the files and contents that we read initially from the web-ide go into what's called a readable file system and a read-only file system, and any writes made to there either get added to a writable file system that's empty or get logged into this deleted files log. So that's how we're always able to recover what was our past content. We have this readable file system that never changes. And so here we jump into create overlay file system components. We get this readable file system that never changes, but then we get this empty writable file system, and then we have this deleted files log. And then the overlay file system is what, okay, you operate on me, and I'm going to be able to act as a readable and writable file system, but I'm going to put the writes in the writable or the deleted log, and then when we revert and other things like that, we can always get back to that readable content when we need it. Don't have to dive too deep into that, but that's some of what's going on here. And that also gives us the ability to implement source control. Like, I could just have to look at the writable and the deleted files log to see where the changes made. And that's the reason we go with this approach. So looking over here to look at our status is like, okay, to actually get what was the changes made, we read the deleted files, And then here you see that we're going to read what was in writable. But something bad's happening. We're trying to read deleted files log, and it is blowing up. So let's jump into there and see what happens. So I'm actually going to add a debugger here. We'll let that build. Let's let it cook. Okay. I'm going to refresh this thing. Okay, we're good. We've got some noise, but that's just noise. All right, I'm going to trigger delete. Boom. All right, now I'm hearing get deleted files log. And let's see what it's saying these contents are. So it looks like we have, for the files, okay, trailing space dot get keep. Oh no, but for directories, it's only showing trailing space without the trailing space. So somehow deleted files log get contents isn't working correctly. And so we keep going through this. It's going to try to read what was in that directory, since we said I'm removing that directory. But it's saying, hey, you said you deleted this directory, but it's not actually a real directory. That's what's happening here. So somehow when we're, I don't know, if we're writing to this deleted files log or when we're reading from it, we're somehow trimming. And let's see if we can jump down one more level and see what's going on. So here's a deleted files log. All right, let's go up one more level where we're creating these overlay file systems. Okay, what creates overlay file system components? Okay, here's the deleted files log. Okay. All right. So I actually have already, I'm gonna go ahead and since I already added some debugger, I happen to know that the problem is in how we're parsing it. So this is a good candidate for me to add a debugger so we can see what the content is. And then the very astute observer will see my hypothesis of the evil trim being confirmed. But let's go ahead and let it build with this debugger. And now we'll see what we get. Okay, so I delete this thing. Boom. All right, now, okay, we're parsing this deleted files log. Okay, so right now, the only thing in there is this file. That all looks good. I think we call this multiple times. So I'm going to run it again. Okay, yeah, we do call it multiple times. Okay, so I see a couple of things. I see we get this file, and I think the directory, yeah, this line has a space in it still. So I think it's in how we're returning them down here. So if I press play, files has, yep, that's the right file, but directories has, oh no, it lost its trailing space. Okay, so let's try out our fix. I know that it's here where we're actually trimming, because we read each line, and if for some reason I'm trimming because I think I'm nervous about these non-white space characters, but if I get rid of the trim, this will actually work. I followed the history of that trim, and it looks like there were no comments or reasons why that trim was there, so I think it's just some oversight. But if I hit delete here, boom, okay, we got to keep pressing past the debugger. Let's keep going. Did we get any errors? Oh, we did. I don't think I waited for everything to build. Yeah, see, we still had the debugger. We got rid of that debugger. Let's go ahead and return it again. Okay, delete. Get rid of my little breakpoint. Boom. Oh, nice. It's showing up in source control. Yay, and I hit refresh. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and create a new branch. Let's see if the change shows up here as we expect. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, so, okay, there's a little deep dive into some of the web-ide file system stuff.